Alright, today we're going to be taking a look at the kit we just picked up. So the kit we picked up is from Fire Bottle Racing. These guys are local to me. Part of the reason why I went with them, but also went down there and talked to them, and I had a couple concerns as far as, fire extinguisher systems. So my first concern with the system was, what type of extinguisher is it? Is it a liquid or is it a gas? So this bottle uses DuPont FE36. Which is a liquid, but it turns into a gas when it's suppressed, when it extinguishes. So that was my one concern, because when you have a fire and you put liquid on a hot surface, or let's say a driver, you tend to get steam burns, which are a lot worse than fire burns. So I didn't want nothing liquefied that would come out and soak something and heat up and turn to steam. Well, at least the gas should prevent that a lot quicker. But here's the whole system from Fire Bottle. So we've got our bottle. It's a 2.5 pound bottle. We've got our mounting base, our 2 hose clamps. We've got our corrugated coil of aluminum 1/4 inch tubing. We've got our pull cable and our release. And we've got all of our nozzles. It comes with 2 nozzles, all the compression fittings, and a T, so you can run 2. Now, you don't want to run anything more than 2. This bottle is made for only 2 setups, 2 nozzles. If you put anything more than 2 nozzles on it doesn't have enough pressure to compensate for them. So you only want to run either the 2 or the 1. You're better off with 1, but if you want to run 2, you can run 2. So, the cool thing about Fire Bottle is the heads are reusable. So if you pop a bottle off, dump it all the way down, bottle's junk, but you can reuse the head. You untwist the head, reset the head on it, put it on a new bottle, and you're good to go. Your plumbing and everything. This doesn't go bad unless the fire melts this stuff, but this doesn't go bad, this stuff. That's not going to be an expendable thing. Your bottle will be, but the head and the actuation parts are all reusable. Now they send you 2 hose clamps which go around the bottle itself, and then they send a plate for it. That's what we're dealing with. Nice, simple, lightweight bottle. It's an aluminum bottle. It only weighs 4 pounds. The total bottle, assembly, and everything only weighs 4 pounds. One thing to note, do not pull this pin until your actuation cable is installed in your head. If it's not installed in your head and you pull this pin, you're going to pop the system off, so don't do that. We're going to go ahead and install this bottle system. Alright, so we're working on mounting this tank up here, this bottle. So the manufacturer says this is the best method. Laid down on its side. This is a no-no, it won't work, can't do it upside down. This is acceptable. Head towards the front of the car is a no-no, because in the event of braking, the fluid's all going to rush to the front and impede the system. That's a better option, where if you go, most of the time if there's a fire, you're going to be on the brake, so fluid will go to the back where the pickup the siphon is and work pretty good. So same thing, as long as the straw in the bottom of this stays where the fluid is, you should have no problem. So that's why I'm going to mount mine here. It gets the weight on the right side of the car where I want it. And I'm just working on the plate now. I got their plate they supplied me, and then I've got my clamp on there. So right now I've just got 1 clamp for mock-up, and I'll probably put 2 clamps on there to hold this bottle. But we go ahead and mock this up and see what we can do. Alright, so here's where we're at. Running our lines, mocking up everything. We got the 1 nozzle hooked up for the fuel cell. Got our T and everything hooked up. I dropped in the garage one of the brass compression clamps fittings, so now that bounced everywhere, so that's gone missing. I am going to add another clamp, so I'm going to take this clamp and move it here and put another one down here just to support this bottle, so it's a lot tighter. So 2 1-inch clamps to support the bottle, and then I still got to go through and thread tape, all the bottle connection and then the nozzle connections. But yeah, so it runs out of the bottle, goes to a T fitting right behind the seat. The 1 runs up to the fuel cell right where the entry is, and the possible where the fuel vent valve is. Then runs down side of the frame. Again, nothing's tied up yet, nothing's tight, so it's going to run along that side. I'll show you on the inside of the car. So again, nothing's tied up, so everything's like loose. So this is going to be tucked on the inside there like that. Runs through, follows the curvature of the frame, runs through the dash, and after it runs through the dash, comes through the wall, runs across to the front of the dash, down into the dash again. Now you may be looking at this going, well, that nozzle looks like it's pointing straight up, like the driver's legs, or they're not, the face ain't gonna, legs or torso isn't gonna get covered. Well, you're wrong. It's the way it looks. It looks like it's only gonna cover up here. It's not. So if you look to the back here, where the seat is, you see where the nozzle is. There's two holes in it, diagonal sprays. That one will go, I can turn this nozzle whichever way I want. One will spray down or one will spray up, and I can turn it whichever way I want to make it work for me. But pretty much that's all mocked up. Alright, so here's our finished product. We've got our cable installed with our safety pin and our tethers. That's through there. We got our hose and everything ran. We've got our nozzle, one for the driver, ran through the front dash, crosses over, goes through the firewall, as well as the cable. The cable and all that runs through. I've got a lot of wires and cables going on here between shock adjusters and other stuff. So it runs through, the line comes out of the dash, loops around the roll cage there, tucks underneath there, zip tied off. Zip tied all the way around. There's the cable, the pull cable runs up to the bottle, and then here's our T-fitting and our different lines. And then we have our rear nozzle for the fuel cell. The bottle itself is mounted and secured. So I'm going to call that done. Wasn't too bad to install. It's pretty easy. The only thing that I changed on it is I did add a Speedway clamp for the mount. Some guys zip tie these in or bolt them. And you may ask why I have my bottle mounted like this. Well, my reasoning is I can't mount my bottle sideways on the back of the A-frame or below it because the tank is in the way, and my seat is all the way back against the A-frame. Because I'm so tall, I need the extra room, so my seat is all the way against the back of the chassis. Same thing like the rear axle. The rear axle is pretty much on the seat. So that's my reasoning for mounting the bottle this way. It's not going to affect it in any way. You can mount it laying down, you can mount it laying up. They just do not want you mounting it upside down or having the activation head facing forward of the car, because if you hit the brakes, most of the time if you're on fire, you're applying the brakes so you're off the throttle. So all the fluid is going to go to the front of the bottle, the activation head, which is what you don't want. This has a flexible siphon tube in here. So like the bottle's laid over like that, the tube is going to be laid down. It goes from this activation head down to the side there. So our fluid level is somewhere here. Same thing if you flip over, the bottle's still at a position where it's still going to work. Even though if the bottle is, let's say, completely upside down, it will work, just not at its full potential. But that's my reasoning behind mounting the bottle here. I couldn't mount it on the inside, I couldn't mount it up top. I just didn't have a lot of room. There's not really any room. I was going to mount it down by my feet, but I'm like, knowing my luck, I'd step on it and bust the system off or something like that. So this was just my best way of doing it. You know, just to make it, I want it to work, I want it to be effective and stuff like that. I never had a fire suppression system before on this car because it wasn't, I always thought, oh, I don't need it. Well, it's come a time where the speeds are increasing. There's a lot more specialized driving out there, and I rather have something that's there to potentially help me out even more. So the end goal is to never use this system at all, but if we do happen to use this system, it will help us out greatly. You know, it could prevent us from having a really good sized fire, which is what we don't want. But other than that though, I'm going to finish it off here. Easy kit to install, very nice system. The bottle only weighs 4 pounds. It's an aluminum bottle, comes with the brackets and everything. You know, and if you pop a system off, this head is reusable. This activation head, you can reset it. The only thing that's not reusable is the bottle. You got to get a new bottle. So the bottle itself is $200 and change. The whole kit's like $400. So
And that's all the plumbing, all the cables, and everything included. So,
and again, before I close the video off, if you'd like more information about the system or pricing on it or how to get one, you can message me at Trekcul Motorsports on Facebook, and I'm sure we can hook you up with a nice system that'll go on your car. And these systems aren't just for micro sprints, to work on mod lights and basically everything under the sun. So definitely something to look into, you know, protect you as well as your investment. Other than that though, we'll see you all in the next video, and we'll get back to racing here shortly.